With us today is a very special guest, legendary investor Jim Rogers. He is the CEO and chairman of Rogers Holdings, the creator of the Rogers International Commodities Index, and the co-founder of the Quantum Fund. Mr. Rogers holds a number of world records, having completed 2 journeys around the world, one in a custom Mercedes and the other via motorcycle. Mr. Rogers is a noted book author. His latest book, A Gift to My Children, A Father's Lessons for Life and Investing, was published in 2009. And Mr. Rogers, thanks so much for being with us today.
I'm delighted to be here. That introduction was much too long.
Well, U.S. stocks seem troubled by speculation over Greece leaving the European Union. Back in February, you stated that Greece should be allowed to go bankrupt. How do you see the Greek debt crisis playing out, and do you see Greece staying in the euro?
Well, again, I think the best thing for Europe and for Greece would be to go bankrupt and have to start over and stay within the euro. To my astonishment, I hear Greek politicians saying some of the same now. I doubt if it will work that way, because politicians usually like to take the easy way out. Some Greek politician is undoubtedly going to win an election based on, I'll get us out of the euro. And then other politicians will do the same, and so we're probably going to have ongoing currency problems coming out of Europe for at least another year or two. I don't like saying it, but unfortunately I have to deal with reality.
Now, if Greece defaults, will other nations follow suit, and will the euro survive?
No, of course. If a Greek politician wins an election based on, I'll get us out of the euro, then I assure you politicians in other countries are going to say the same thing. Because right now everybody's unhappy. Everybody's looking for an easy answer. Nobody likes austerity. Well, I don't like austerity either. But sometimes you have to face facts. So no, I'm afraid you'll see other countries doing the same thing, and it will cause more currency and turmoil and economic turmoil for several more months and even possibly years.
Now let's turn to Spain. Yields on Spanish debt have spiked to sky-high levels of almost 7%, and concerns are growing about the government's ability to bail out its banking sector. Meanwhile, the regional Catalonian government has called on Madrid to help refinance its debts. Will Spain also need bailing out, and can Europe even afford it?
There's several countries that are essentially bankrupt, I mean, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, Italy, even France has problems. So yes, no, can they afford it? No, they cannot afford it. Will more people ask for bailouts? Yes, but eventually, Kathleen, they're going to run out of other people's money. You can spend other people's money for a long time, but eventually the other people stop saying, no more. Or they start saying, no more, I'm not going to give you any more money. And then you have to face reality. And that's the problem with Europe right now. Most of them are trying to avoid reality.
All right, let's turn to the U.S. dollar. You have stated you are very pessimistic about the U.S. dollar long term, but as oil is off recent highs and gold and stocks are down, the dollar has performed well amid safe haven buying. Do you own the dollar at all, and if so, how come?
I do own the U.S. dollar. It's interesting you said it was a safe haven. People see it as a safe haven. It is not a safe haven, but people think that, and so therefore I own the dollar. There is more turmoil coming out of Europe and other currency markets. So people, when they trying to look for a place to flee, they flee to the dollar. So I fled to the dollar too with them. The dollar, though, is terribly flawed, Kathleen, over the next few years. And so be very careful. I don't know how long I'll own it, whether I own it for a quarter or a year or two, but I own it at the moment.
Now, you recently encouraged folks to get out of the stock market and to buy gold, silver, and agriculture. So let's start with gold. Gold has been up for over a decade. Is it a metal undergoing a normal correction right now, or is it headed on a more permanent track downward?
Kathleen, gold has gone up 11 years in a row. I can think of no asset that's ever gone up 11 years in a row. So it is consolidating right now. I have not sold any gold. I still own my gold. I've got a couple of hedges, but basically I still own all my gold. If it goes down, I hope I'm smart enough to buy more. I hope I'm smart enough to buy more silver, because precious metals are going to make a lot of money for a lot of people in the next decade. Doesn't mean it can't go to, if Spain suddenly goes bankrupt out of the blue, everything's going to collapse. 1,300, 1,200, if it goes that low, I hope I'm smart enough to buy a lot more.
Now, does gold ultimately replace the dollar as the world currency, and if so, how soon could that happen?
I think it's unlikely. I know there are a lot of people who would like to return to the gold standard. The problem with the gold standard was it always had problems too. Politicians can always figure out ways to cheat us the poor citizens. And so the gold standard had its problems. If the world's currencies collapse next week or next year, I'm sure people would grab for gold because they know nothing else. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Jim, you have been very bullish about agriculture. Are you even more bullish about agriculture now than before? And how does one go about investing in agriculture?
Well, there are many ways to invest in agriculture. The best is to become a farmer. I don't think you're going to become a farmer, but there are many ways. Buy farmland, invest in seed companies or fertilizer companies, tractor companies. There are many ways to invest in agriculture. Invest in agricultural countries. Canada's more agriculturally oriented than we are, Australia. There are plenty of ways to invest in agriculture. The best way is to become a farmer or to invest in agricultural products. You can learn about corn futures, cotton futures. You can learn about investing in futures. There are many ways to do it.
Now, why do you believe agriculture has such a bright future?
Kathleen, the world's got huge problems facing us. First of all, inventories of agricultural products are near historic lows. But more than that, the news is so bad that it's good. We have a shortage of farmers developing. The average age of farmers in America is 58. In Australia, it's 58. In Japan, it's 66. In Canada, the farmers are the oldest they've ever been in recorded history up there. The world is running out of farmers. So either the price of agricultural products has to go up a lot, or we're not going to have any food at any price, because in 10 years they're going to be 68 if they're still alive, those farmers. So the prices have got to go much higher to attract labor, capital management to agriculture. More people in America study physical education or PR than study agriculture. We got a huge problem facing us.
Now, you have warned against investing in the stock market and have said you don't own any U.S. stocks. Why are stocks an unwise investment, and where do you see prices heading there?
Well, the world's got staggering debt problems facing it. You can just watch Newsmax and you'll see lots of the problems all the time, or read Newsmax. And these problems have not been sorted out. The huge debts in the West. And until this is sorted out, I suspect we're not going to have great growth prospects in most economies. In my view, if the world economy gets better, I'm going to make money in commodities because of the shortages which are developing. If the world economy does not get better, I want to own commodities because then they're going to print money. It's the wrong thing to do, Kathleen, I promise you. It's not good for any of us, but that's all they know. And so they will print a lot of money, and throughout history, when governments have printed money, you better own silver, you better own rice, you better own real things.
Jim, Facebook recently went public, initially valued at $38 a share, which put the company worth $104 billion. Its stock price has continued to slide as many worry about how the company will monetize 900 million users. What does the Facebook story say about U.S. equities, and what will it take to bring more lasting volume back into the equities market?
It shows me that there's still too much confidence in the markets, that people are not, the way you make money in the markets, any market, is when there's despair, when people are terribly worried. That's when you make a lot of money. The idea that Facebook, with essentially no profits, no anything, could come to market with 104 billion, I think you said. I mean, that's astonishing to me. It's astonishing to me that anybody would pay it. It's astonishing to me that it hasn't collapsed more. It just shows me that there's still too much confidence in the American market, and it's not a good place to invest.
You have said 2012 is going to be an okay year, but investors should brace for a bad 2013 and even worse 2014. Is a recession inevitable for the U.S., and how do you see life changing for the average American in those 2 years?
Well, Kathleen, every 4 to 6 years since the beginning of the Republic, we've had economic slowdowns. We've had recessions. Always. It's coming again. Now, you can add as well as I can. 2013, 2014, we're going to have another slowdown. Whether it's caused by Europe, who knows what it's going to be caused by, but it's coming. Partly this year is going to look good and feel good because Mr. Obama is going to give a lot of good information. It may be manipulated information, but he's going to put out a lot of good information. He's going to spend a lot of money. He's going to print a lot of money to get us through the election. Be very worried about 2013. Be very worried about 2014 because that's when the next slowdown comes. 2002, we had a recession. 2008, it was worse because the debt was so much higher. Kathleen, the next time, the debt is going to be even worse because the debt is so staggeringly high now. So if you're not worried about 2013, please get worried.
So what is the next slowdown going to look like? Just how bad is it going to get?
It's going to certainly stocks are going to go down. You're certainly going to see more turmoil in the currency markets. The dollar might even go up for a while, which would feel good for all of us who are Americans. But other countries are going to be suffering badly. Interest rates will eventually start to go higher. The government will not be. The government's going to have to print so much money that eventually the bond market is going to say interest rates have to go higher. It's going to be just turmoil. Everybody's going to be worried, including me.
Do you think that unemployment rates will ever return to pre-crisis levels?
Ever? Well, ever is a long time. Yes.
Anytime in the near future?
No, not in the near future. No. The government may report better employment numbers, but remember, the government has a huge leeway in how they report all this stuff, and they jiggle the numbers. If you get into the unemployment numbers, you'd be astonished at some of the ways they come up with things to say that everything is better. And you're going to hear a lot of good news between now and November.
So the U.S. government, you say, is lying to us?
Don't you know that? Please, Kathleen, yes. I mean, I've been around since times like the Vietnamese War. Our government I don't like saying this, but our government has lied to us many, many, many times. Inflation, they make up the numbers. Unemployment, they make up the numbers. All sorts of things.
Okay. The end of this year, the Bush tax cuts expire, payroll tax holidays and unemployment benefits, and on top of that, automatic spending cuts are set to kick in. Do you think that the White House and Congress will be able to steer this country away from this so-called fiscal cliff?
Well, we've been talking before about 2013 and 14 being bad. Well, there are a couple of more reasons. You're going to raise taxes in 2013, I assure you, the economy is going to slow down and slow down a lot if they do raise taxes. It's always been that way. If cutting spending would be good, by the way, it would help the economy. Will they do it? I doubt if they'll do that because there are too many lobbyists who are going to race in and say, you can't cut my spending. My goodness. But no, 2013, 14 are going to be bad, and these are some of the reasons. Will Congress let it all happen? I hope not. I hope they don't let taxes go back up. That would be a disaster for all of us. I hope they're smart enough to keep the tax cuts in place.
Can a Republican presidential win in 2012 turn the U.S. economic tide?
You mean if a president, a Republican wins?
Yes.
No. I mean, I'm afraid our situation is very, very dire right now. Again, I don't like saying this. I'm an American taxpayer, an American voter like you. It's not good, any of this. But what can any Republican do? What can any Democrat do at this point? I mean, if somebody could win on a platform of, I'm going to slash taxes, I'm going to slash spending, yes, even then we'd have pain for a year or two, but at least we could start over and come out of it and possibly be, as great as we were before.
You think that there are fundamental problems with the policies of both parties?
Oh, absolutely. I hope you do too. If you don't, you should watch Newsmax. I'm telling you, there's serious problems. America's got serious, serious problems. The main one is staggering debt and staggering spending, which is totally out of control. Oh, yeah, we know. Again, we've got serious problems.
Last question, Jim. Who gets your vote in the 2012 presidential election? Will it be Barack Obama or Mitt Romney?
Pox on both of their houses. I will vote the protest vote. I will find somebody. If we keep voting for turkeys, Kathleen, they keep sending us turkeys. I could not bear to vote for Mr. Romney or for Mr. Obama because they're both the same thing. One happens to be from Boston, one happens to be from Chicago, but they're not going to save us.
So who would you put into that office?
The ones who are, well, those two, neither. But of the ones who've been running, I mean, Ron Paul certainly understands what's going on in the world. There are people who understand what is going on in the world. Unfortunately, they never get very far.
Jim Rogers, thanks so much for joining us here today.
My pleasure, Kathleen. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Money News on Newsmax TV.